Holden.
Fun
No
fact, I
pressure.
I was a mascot when I was in high school, and I was Babe Ruff. I was a big dog, the hoop belly. Another time. Josh, I love how articulate you are, especially when challenging ideas and concepts are thrown at you. You index your thoughts so well. Honestly, I think you and Amy Loden, the good doctor on the phone call, could
Yeah.
do an incredible collaboration. So try to reach out to her. But um, honestly, my question keeps evolving over the course of this last hour. Like you've answered 1,000 questions I've had so far, but one in particular. So you were incredible at the sport, right? The BMX days, and that abruptly changed. How did you unwind your identity from a pro athlete to just what's next? What talk about that evolution with respect of everyone I've ever seen who's been successful has acknowledged evolution in their life. And and what I'm seeing is almost like you say, okay, that chapter is done. I'm going to amplify the next chapter. But I just want to hear from your mouth, like, how do you identify the change? How do you discuss the change and identification on a personal level?
Two things that really helped me. One, the darker route, which was when Dave Muir took his life and was diagnosed with CTE, and learning about his journey. If anyone had followed what he had done after BMX, it was boxing, and then it was rally, and then it was triathlons, and he crushed it in all of them. That was just his drive, like his personality, and you just couldn't help but feel better as a human being and want to do more and be better being around him. And what I started to realize after having some conversations with him before he had passed and connecting the dots later, but then talking with a lot of his close friends that I was friends with, there was this chase of these feelings that connected to his identity. For so long, he had been winning and winning and winning. And all, like, he still, I think, has the most gold medals in X Games history of all the athletes still today. And so there was this constant chase of that feeling to affirm his identity of like someone that wins. So there was that, which also a couple of years later, I hired my coach, who at the time I was able to do so. It's like the largest investment I ever made, and it was great, and I learned so much about myself. And during our time, she said something to me that really helped me. Was we talked a lot about Dave, and for context, I was with him 2 or 3 days before he passed, had lunch with him, and just was great because I was able to tell him how much I appreciated and loved him for all that he did for me in the sport and my generation, especially generations to come. And it was me asking him for advice on what I did 4 years later. And that was leaving BMX, and really just this passion that I had, this, how to navigate the waters. And what she said to me was, your level of success in any area of life is directly related to the level of personal growth and development you have in that area. And she challenged me to think about all of the attributes I possessed that allowed me to use the vehicle that was BMX to express those attributes because of who I was: determined, passionate, full of grit and optimism, and all these things of, perseverance, like all these things that my parents saw, and the work ethic, all that created that trust from a young age. All of that went into BMX and allowed me to be an elite athlete, globally known in the sport. Of all sports to make a career out of, I made it happen of riding my bike. And so when I started connecting all these dots in terms of like what Dave was searching for, because he just didn't feel unfulfilled, even though he was successful beyond any means that anyone could ever imagine, he just didn't feel it anymore because he was attached to his identity in that regard, that it was influencing his decisions. And later on, they diagnosed him with CTE, and that was kind of a big shift for me as well. There's a lot of complexity there, but that's what I gathered from his journey. And then combining that with what my coach told me and the work she had me doing to dig into who I was and how I was showing up, that allowed me to be, one of the few to make a career out of that. It was focusing on those attributes of who I was, my personality that created my personal reality. And it wasn't the bike. It wasn't that thing I did. That was just a form of the expression of who I was. And so it was really just understanding that, believing that, focusing on that, and trying to do my best to pursue the path forward with understanding I'm not determined. My personality, who I am, my identity is not determined by the things I do. It's determined by the belief I have in myself. And all the things that I am that make up who I am, my ness is, how I like to say it. If anyone's familiar with, Ram Dass and his, Albertness, as he likes to say, or, like using someone's name and adding ness to it, like our essence, who we are. So my Joshness, it wasn't the bike. The bike just allowed me to express myself. And that's how I try to focus on that today. And that's what my wife just reminded me that the other day when I was getting frustrated and like, why can't I grow my business? She was like, just figure out, like, you be another attribute. You're resourceful, creative, and resourcefulness. I've never considered myself creative until the last few years when I looked at videos of what I did on my bike, and I was like, oh, that's a form of creativity. And then living out of my friend's storage closet for the first 2 months, living on my own, and then being in my own apartment and like doing all these things to survive, literally and figuratively. I've been a creative, resourceful person. And it's conversations like this that really hype me up and remind me of it, because I'm answering it and I'm logically thinking of it now. And it makes me feel better because that's possible, because I did it before. And that's something I try to urge and encourage people to think about. It's not the things that you do. Your thoughts don't define you. Your actions don't define you. Your beliefs don't. It's what you decide you want to do moving forward and what that vision of yourself is. It's not your circumstances. And that's what this tattoo, being at cause for my reality is greater than being at effect, reminds me to do, is to continue pursuing that vision for my ideal life and who I want to be in that reality.
Mic drop moments galore. Josh, this has been unfreaking believable. You are definitely an outlier, my friend. So you belong here. What can we do? So we're a community of 700 people in 34 countries and growing pretty fast. What can we do to help support you?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. It's awesome to be a part of this community, and I know a lot of you I've already spoken with before today, and I've been hearing from you guys, and I really appreciate it. Anytime that I have an opportunity to share who I am and what I love doing, it's meaningful to me. And I guess the best way any one of you can help support me is just share a little bit about what you learned today, and if anyone that you come across is interested in improving their health and their performance, just send them my way, and we'll have a conversation. But other than that, just keep doing what you guys are doing. And, I just really appreciate getting to know each and every one of you, the little bit that I have, continue to do.
I love it. I love it. Josh, when our top advisor series kicks off, we've got a couple people that are absolutely like best in the world at business acceleration and things like that. So definitely dive into some of those. We've got some incredible people who are going to be conducting office hours and teaching.